I heard you ask a question, but I'm not really sure what you asked because you're on the other side of the studio. But I'll assume you're asking me if I'm a big fan of them, and yes, I am. And I'll definitely want to hear more projects from both solo and collabos as well. So many thanks, Ashley, for holding fort. All right, now let's cross over to Kisumu. It's about time for Willis, the word master. Willis, I'm sure you can hear me. A very good evening to you. It's always a pleasure. Now, I hope you've had a fantastic week, Willis.
Yes, I've had a wonderful week, Jesse, and in fact, everything is cool, except sometimes the weather changes a lot. You know, in Kisumu, it's a time that there are moments when you feel like you're almost boiling inside your body, but anyway, when the rains come, you cool down. How has your week been, Jesse?
Okay, the weather is also a challenge this side. It's changing drastically, but we're definitely thankful that the rains are with us. So enough about the weather. Let's now take a look at the word on the street, the specific word we will be highlighting. Let's take a look at that word on the street.
Jaundice, Jaundice, Jaundice.
Jaundice. Jaundice, Jaundice.
Judea, Judea, Judea.
Jaundice, Jaundice, Jaundice.
Jaundice, Jaundice, Jaundice.
Jaundice, Jaundice.
Jaundice, 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 Jaundice, Jaundice.
All right, those are various ways of pronouncing that word, but Willis, the word master, allow me to cross it over to you and just highlight how this specific word should be pronounced.
Yes, it's a tricky one, Jesse. In the first place, that word is referring to the medical condition in which somebody's skin and the white parts of the eyes become yellow. Now, that A and U form the long sound O. Now, I always talk about digraph. That is a combination of two letters representing one sound. So you say jaw, not jow. And then we have the last part, that is ICE, taking is, not eyes. So you say jaundice, jaundice. Now we also say hospice. We don't say hospice. Hospice, we should also, in fact, pass that over to our good or our dear viewers so that they know jaundice and hospice.
All right, Willis, thank you for clarifying that. Well, what exactly does the word mean, quickly, before we move on?
The word refers to that medical condition in which somebody's skin and the white parts of the eyes become yellow, Jesse. But when we talk about hospice, that is a hospital for people who are terminally ill, those who are sometimes, described as dying patients, hospice. But the first word that is on the street, jaundice.
Jaundice. Okay, let's move over to the next word. Right or appropriate for a particular person, purpose, or situation. Is it suitable or suitable?
You say sue, and you can also say sew. What you don't use is sui. Sui, no. You say suitable, and you can also say suitable. So in this case, we would say a suitable place or a suitable place. You can also talk about a suitable moment or a suitable moment. What we avoid is suitable.
All right, Willis, the next word, I'll just spell it out for the viewers at home and for you as well. EQUINE. Kindly assist us with the proper pronunciation.
Just say that word is tricky. In fact, it's an adjective and it means connected with horses or like a horse. Now you say equine, you can use E, the long sound E, equine, but you can also say equine. So equine is acceptable just the same way as equine. So we have those two alternative pronunciations for that word. Like you can say equine jumps or equine steps, or you can say equine jumps or equine steps.
Amazing, amazing. Now, the next word is a type of cell or unicellular organism. Is it amoeba or amoeba? Because I've had a couple of people pronounce it as amoeba.
Jesse, you're right. I've heard that several times, people talking of amoeba, and I always wonder where that mwe comes from. But anyway, sometimes pronunciations, as I always say, nobody is perfect, and we are not native speakers of the language. So sometimes, making a mistake is not a big issue, but in fact, if you make a mistake, you can always find out the right way to say it. Just like you've asked about that word, you say amoeba, amoeba, ameba, we should avoid it. What confuses some people, Jesse, is when we have the American spelling, that is A-M-E-B-A. So some people find themselves saying ameba. Even when you use the American spelling, the pronunciation remains amoeba. So amoeba, and all that should be avoided.
All right, thank you for that, Willis. Now, a state in which opposing forces are balanced. Let's go back to the days in physics. Equilibrium.
E and A. Just the way you've used those alternative pronunciations, Jesse, that is the way to go. You say equilibrium or equilibrium, but it's always a mouthful or a tongue twister in some way because we have that sound L and R. So, and being a long word, some people find themselves mispronouncing it quite often. But equilibrium and equilibrium.
All right. Now, tending to cause disagreement or hostility between people. Divisive, divisive. How do you pronounce it, Willis?
Oh, you say we have the verb divide. And this is a very popular word on our show. Jesse, you can also agree with me on that. You say divide as a verb, then you say divisive for the adjective. Divisive politics. And you also say incisive, not incisive. And you don't say divisive. Many people find themselves saying divisive, but we should say divisive. Incisive, no. You say incisive. And you also say decisive, not decisive.
All right, now, how about that word that means to capture the complete attention of someone? Mesmerize, mesmerize.
Oh, the second pronunciation. Just see letter S takes the voiced sound. That is a sound that is produced with the vibration of the vocal cords. Now you say mes, not mess. Mesmerize. To mesmerize somebody. Just like he mesmerized his audience with his dancing skills or his talent in music.
All right, Willis. Now, the key male sex hormone that regulates fertility and fat distribution. I've had a couple of pronunciations. Testosterone, testosterone. How do we exactly pronounce this word?
Jesse, as I told you one time, if you remember last week, somebody very big in the capital city told me when it comes to English and he listens to Jesse and Ashley, he feels that punch. And that is why I also say tough or hot and tough, because you've just pronounced that word the way it should be. But remember, when we hear this story about the South African athlete, when they were, whatever they were testing in that lady, or I don't know whether I'll say lady or whatever, but basically that is nature. We can't talk about it. But there was that problem where people found this word very tricky or too tricky to pronounce. But the way you pronounced it is the way to go. Testosterone, testosterone. But you don't go very fast. The other word that people should get to know is cholesterol or cholesterol.
Okay, Willis, thank you for that clarification. Skill or expertise in a particular activity or field. Prowess, prowess. How exactly do we pronounce it?
That word, Jesse. Many people say prowess. Very many people find themselves saying prowess. In fact, they say that innocently because that is what we hear regularly as we grow up. I mean, as we grow up locally. So you'll find many people saying prowess, but it should be prowess. Prowess, academic prowess, linguistic prowess, not prowess.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm sure we've all learned, especially on that. I
You're
might
welcome.
be guilty of prowess a couple of times, but it is prowess. Now,
Nobody's perfect, Jesse. Nobody. Not even Willis.
Yes,
you can't
exactly.
know everything.
okay, Willis, over to the last one we have. Is it severe or severe, something great or intense in terms of pain or damage? How do you pronounce it?
Oh, you say severe, just like severe headache or severe injury. What we should avoid is severe or severe. Severe, you say C and vere. We also say persevere, but what we should forget, remember always, what we should not forget is the fact that when we have the adjective, you say severe, but when you come to the noun form, you say severity, not severity. Severity or severe, severely, severity.
Just a quick one before we go to the words you have for us. Severed,
Yes.
completely captain off. How do you pronounce that word? Severed, how do you pronounce it?
Can you come up again, or you can spell it?
S-E-V-E-R-E-D. Severed, like completely cutting
Oh.
off.
You say that is from the verb sever, S-E-V-E-R. That is
Okay.
the verb. You say sever, like
Sever.
now when you sever diplomatic links. But then when you have the past tense form or the past participle of sever, Jesse, you say severed, not severed, not severed.
All right. Thank you for that clarification. Now let's
Yes.
take a look at some of the feedback
You're
you have
welcome,
for
you're
us,
welcome.
Willis.
Okay, we have Terry Kioko. Terry Kioko, you say often because that T is silent. But remember the same word, you can also pronounce it as often. Then we have Brian Okech Amwai. You say subpoena. That is a word that is commonly used in law. Subpoena. Don't say sapoena or subpoena. Then you also say bolster and quite. Quite. That is Q-U-I-T-E. Quite. Henry Kareithi of Nairobi, you say Wednesday. Wednesday. Don't say Wednesday. Wednesday or Wednesday. And then you also say the word diamond. Now, Richard Abok, you say library and environment. Or Richard Abok of Darajambili Library. You say library, but you remember you can also say library. Then Willis, oh, I have a namesake here. Willis Ochieng Ongecha, you say indulge. Alice Richard, you say stationary. Alanis Onkoba and Regina or Regina Kerubo, you say injection. Or you also have the second word, that is relax. Mwalimu Vidija Delizu, you say invitation, but we have invite. Erastus Makoha of Mumias, trapezium. Trapezium, don't say trapezium. Anyango Molo of Siaya, you say withdrew. Then finally, I have Bob Gaderu of Kiambu. Bob, you just say boutique. Boutique, not boutique, as commonly said locally. Then we go straight to the surprise word for tonight. And this word, which refers to a tree, you don't say almond. You don't pronounce this word the way it is spelled. You say almond. I know that is a surprise to many people. You say almond. L is silent and letter O takes the weak sound R. Almond. You remember we can talk of almond tree, almond oil, or the flat, pale, sweet nut of that tree. You also say almond. Then, dear viewers, you say salmon for that fish. Salmon, not salmon. And finally, you also say Psalms, that book in the Bible, not psalms, you say Psalms. Now, confusing words. In the first place, I want to give just 1 second to the viewers of KTN so that they try. Can you say these two words? Just 1 second before I get to them. I see. Let me see, because I've prepared something for you. And we have the upper word. You say arrows. Arrows. That is the plural form. Arrows. But remember, this word is the past tense of arise. Arise. Now this one you say arose. What you'll realize is we have that stress right at this point. So arose, but this one the stress is on the first syllable. You say arrows. Then finally, viewers of KTN have that chance or opportunity always to know the phonetic symbols just every Friday during Friday briefing, this very segment, Mind Your Language. So here we have the triphthong Eya, but this is the symbol, or we call it the phonetic symbol, that symbol that is used to show you that sound. So you have here Eya, Eya. So when you see these transcriptions of the symbols used in transcriptions or pronunciation guides, especially in good dictionaries or dictionaries, you say Eya, just like in layer, player, and sprayer. Otherwise, you can also interact with me throughout the week, and that is on Twitter at Willis Ochieng1. But I'm taking you back to the wonderful team in Nairobi, that is Jesse and Ashley. Back to Nairobi.
Willis, it's always a pleasure. I can see some of my friends are asking me to say hi, so allow me to mention their names. We have Okello, who has asked me to pass my greetings to you. He's a big fan of this edition of Friday Briefing, especially because of Word on the Street.
That is great.